Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you're doing well. And this is the turn of question number 3 today, and I'm going to explain how to answer this question. And this question number 3 is from section C of macroeconomics. You can see this. This is like the list of important questions for section C, and this is from like macroeconomics. So question number 3, I'll be like explaining you what should you write in assessment objective 1 and then assessment objective 2 and 3, and how to conclude your answer. So for getting full marks, if you follow the instructions where you have to write down assessment objective 1, answer assessment objective 1 and 2 and then 3, then you can get full marks or maximum possible marks. So for assessment objective 1, you have to give the basic knowledge given in the statement of question or some background knowledge which might be relevant to this question but not showing in this question statement of question, and then you have to analyze that. So first of all, you have to give assessment objective 1, that is knowledge. For that you have to pick the important terms in the question and some terms that may be relevant but not in this question, showing in this question, then you should explain those as well. And in assessment objective 1, you have to connect the variables given in this statement of question. So whatever you have identified and explained in assessment objective 1, in assessment objective 2 you have to analyze all of them. So how will you analyze them or connect them? So increase in investment, you will explain how increase in investment will affect national income of the country, employment and the rate of inflation, right? So there may be some positive relationships and some may be negative relationships in this question. Okay, so positive relationships are basically when one variable increases and the other variable also increases, that is positive relationship. And if two variables move in opposite direction, then it will be an inverse relationship. So there may be some positive and some maybe negative or inverse relationships in this question. And then in evaluation part, what you have to do is you have to write against whatever you have analyzed, and you will give limitations of your analysis where you will negate whatever you have said in analysis part, right? For example, in analysis part you said that if there is increase in investment, national income of the country will increase, right? So this is analysis. When you talk against this analysis, then it will be evaluation. For example, you say that sometimes increase in investment does not lead to increase in national income if the value of multiplier is 0 or multiplier is negative, right? So it may be like the time of economic recessions when aggregate demand is very low, so increase in investment brings no impact on the national income of the country. And then at the end you have to conclude that. So let me start with the first thing first, that is like investment. First of all, you will say that as an opening statement you can write that there are several government macroeconomic objectives to achieve in a given period of time, such as increasing national income of the country, increasing employment or controlling inflation, controlling unemployment in the country, and controlling inflation as well. So to achieve like these objectives, government uses multiple like macroeconomic policies, and one of the policy may be like increase in investment, private investment by the local investors sometimes, or sometimes maybe because through like multinational companies. So now this is something like that is that will grab the attention of the examiner, and then you can move to like explaining the given statements in this question. So now you will say that while investment refers to the purchase of fixed assets that increase productive potential of an economy, such as purchase of machinery, technology, tools and buildings, and constructing a factory, erecting machinery, that is all type of investments, right? So investment increases productive potential of the economy. When there is rise in investment, it leads to a rightward shift in the production possibility curve of a country. So you can make this graph as well. So this is point x, and this is x good, and on y we have y good. X may be like agricultural goods, Y may be industrial goods. So rightward shift in the PPC is caused by increase in investment, and investment will lead to increase in production of X good from X1 to X2, production of Y good from Y1 to Y2. And now moving to the other concept, that is national income. National income refers to the total income of all the residents of a country arising out of economic activities during the period of 1 year. And generally we use the proxy of GDP, that is gross domestic product, to represent national income, and sometimes we use GNP, GNI, and NNP, NNI as well. Sometimes we use GDP per capita, real GDP per capita. These are the terms that are generally used for national income. So like national income or GDP is the total income of all the residents of a country, or the total monetary value of all the goods and services produced in a country in 1 year. And then you will like define what inflation is. Inflation refers to the situation in which there is a persistent rise in general price level over time. It decreases purchasing power of money. And employment is a state when people are on job. Okay, so these are the, and we have another important term, that is multiplier. Multiplier is some constant value which shows that increase in investment. So whatever I'm speaking is the complete answer. You can write it down and that will be a complete answer to you, right? So I'm not like saying anything additional or extra that is not required in this answer. Rather, I'm speaking everything that is required, and you should write everything in the answer. Okay, so multiplier is the constant value which shows that increase in investment leads to multiple times increase in national income of the country. And multiplier is calculated as, you can use this formula of multiplier as well. Multiplier is denoted as K, and it is like change in income over change in investment, right? So for example, if the value of multiplier is 5 and we increase investment by, let's say, $100, then what should be the change in income? So change in income will be like 5 times of the investment. If we put these values into this graph, this formula, then the value of multiplier is 5. We will put 5 here, and then we need to find change in national income over change in investment is $100. So mathematically we can cross multiply these values. So change in income will be equal to 5 into 100 is equal to $500. So it means in $100 increase in investment led to a 500 increase in national income. So this is basically the basic concept of multiplier. And now you can like try to this is a part of analysis as well. When you are using these figures, this is part of analysis, and then you can make make a diagram, 45-degree line diagram as well. Rather, you have to make it, right? So this is a 45-degree line, and you can show multiplier, impact of multiplier on national income through this graph. So we have like GDP on X, we have GDP on X, and GDP is also represented as Y, and we have aggregate expenditure on Y axis. So this 45-degree line shows proportionality between income and aggregate expenditure. If there is proportionality between income and expenditure, then there will be a 45-degree line, and it is the basic math rule. And actual aggregate expenditure line looks like this. So this is aggregate expenditure line, while aggregate expenditure is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, right? So if the economy is open economy, we write this complete equation. Otherwise, if it is closed economy without international trade, then we need not to write down X minus M. All else will remain the same. So equilibrium takes place at E, where national income is equal to Y. Now if there is rise in investment, maybe through local investment or multinational companies, then aggregate expenditure line will move upward, because now increase in investment will lead to upward shift in the aggregate expenditure line. And the new equilibrium will take place at E1, where national income will increase to Y1. So this change in investment, change in income because of this change in investment is known as multiplier effect. So this multiple times rise in national income because of a little rise in investment is known as multiplier. And you will explain this graph as well. Whatever I was speaking while making this graph is the part of this explanation. You have to write all that as well. And now whenever there is rise in aggregate expenditure, then we know that aggregate demand also increases, because investment is also the part of aggregate demand curve. So we have to make another diagram where we plot real GDP on X and we write like price level on Y-axis, price level. And this is aggregate demand curve, which is negatively sloped, and this is aggregate supply curve, which is positively sloped. And equilibrium takes place at E, where national income is equal to Y, or real GDP is equal to Y, and price level is P. Now if there is increase in aggregate demand, then aggregate demand curve will shift to the right from AD to AD1, and equilibrium will move from E to E1, where real GDP will rise from Y to Y1 and price level will increase from P to P1. So here again we can see that increase in national income, increase in investment resulting in increase in aggregate demand, because aggregate demand is also equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, X minus M, X minus M. X minus M is basically net exports, exports minus imports, right? So this is X minus M, this part is X minus M. And whenever there is increase in investment, aggregate demand will shift to the right and equilibrium will move upward, price level will increase from P to P1 and real GDP will increase to Y1. So the rise in real GDP is economic growth, and the rise in price level is known as inflation, demand for inflation. So as an analysis part, you will explain that increase in investment has led to rise in national income or GDP of the country, and increase in price level, so inflation will also rise. So higher aggregate demand and more investment will create jobs and more employment will be created. So this is a part of like analysis, and you will have to explain all that whatever I was saying while making this graph and after that. So this is a part of analysis, and now you have to evaluate your answer. When you are evaluating your answer, you have to negate whatever you said in the analysis part. For example, you may say, however, increase in investment may not increase national income, right? So national income or GDP may not rise if the value of multiplier is equal to 0, or even if it is negative. Let's say it's -5. -5 mean, okay, if we increase investment, then national income instead of increasing will further fall. And it generally happens in case of economic recessions, or there may be natural disasters, there may be wars as well. So investment does not bring any kind of positive impact on national income of the country. And if we look into the supply side effect of the increase in investment, then increase in investment may be like in new technology, machinery, tools, and maybe like on education and training of workers, or maybe on infrastructure of the country. Then what will happen to the real GDP and aggregate supply? We can look into the graph again. So we have like price level on X, real GDP on Y. So aggregate demand is negatively sloped and aggregate supply is positively sloped. So equilibrium takes place at E, where initially price level is P and real GDP is Y. So now looking at the supply side impact of the increase in investment, then aggregate supply will shift to the right, where in equilibrium will move to E1, real GDP will increase to Y1, so national income will increase, but at the same time price level will decrease, right? So again, we in previous graph we said that increase in investment led to rise in price level, but in this case price level is decreasing, so inflation will fall. And since aggregate supply is increasing, investment is rising, so more jobs are created, and as a result employment will also rise. So these are like kind of relationships that you can build and then you can evaluate them. And similarly, the value of multiplier is sometimes not that much realistic and does not capture the reality very closely, because it may be based on some estimations or maybe based on some predictions that might not be true in the future when you actually invest in the business. So you can like explain 2-3 limitations of the increase in investment that may not bring national multiplier impact on the national income. And at the end you have to conclude your discussion, and in conclusion you can say that in conclusion, so I'm not writing all the conclusion but just speaking that in conclusion, increase in investment generally increases national income by multiple times depending upon the value of multiplier. However, it also leads to increase in national income, increase in employment in the country, and increase in demand pull inflation in the country as well. However, the situation may be like opposite, quite opposite, if these investments don't bring that impact of multiplier on national income, or the value of multiplier is negative or zero, the national income will not increase, rather it may fall if the multiplier is, the value of multiplier is negative. And it also depends on the economic conditions and political conditions, and the climatic conditions as well. Sometimes there may be some dramatic climate change that may destroy everything you invested in, and sometimes wars may occur, or there may be wars between the neighboring countries that also affect your investment and national income as well. So this is it for this question. I believe you understand that. So see you with the next video soon, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.